When you talk about sales reports, it doesn't happen on the first of the day. Sometimes it actually takes a month or two for them to get all the information and provide it to you from a press release. In this video, I'll be talking about Canada because they did provide a press release, but unfortunately, they did not provide model breakdowns like what they've done in the United States. Hey, it's LSFD here today, and today we're here to look at Canada, the sales report for Canada for 2023. And they issued a press release, but unfortunately they did not provide model breakdown. But I did reach out to LexusCanada to see if I can get the NX 450h Plus sales numbers for 2023. And fortunately, they did get me that number. So I will be providing that breakdown of the NX, and I will be able to see what is the percentage of NXs came to Canada that were sold or plug-in hybrids. And after that, we'll look at the numbers to see how successful of a year it was for Canada. Let's get to it. All right, so here is the press release for Toyota Canada, and it actually highlights electrified vehicles represent 43.9% of vehicles sold by Toyota Canada Incorporated last year. And they're saying that the Lexus division sets all-time vehicle sales record in 2023. So which means Lexus has broken the record of total sales since they've ever launched the brand. So let's come down and look at what they're saying here. So they're saying that electrified vehicles are record sales, continue the way for both Lexus and Toyota. And electrified vehicles, they're saying that 99,824 units sold, and that's up 92.8% year over year. And that represents 43.9% of the company's overall vehicle sales in 2023, which is good. But then it also means that, are there enough batteries for the hybrids? Are we actually waiting longer because we want the electrified vehicles? We don't know. But here we can see here, say Toyota division sold 82,668 electrified vehicles in 2022, up 96.9%, and represents 42.1% of the total sales of Toyota since 2023. And then you can see here it says, led by very strong sales of Canadian-made NX hybrid and RX hybrids. So the Lexus division sold 17,156 electrified vehicles in 2023. And that's up 75.4% year over year, and that's 55% of the total sales of 2023. So the Lexus has actually much higher in electrified vehicles. Compared to the 42.1, 55% seems to be quite high. And then when we look into the zero-emission vehicles, so that is EVs, which is the BZ4X, the RZ450E, and then we have the plug-in hybrids, which is the Prius Prime, the RAV4 Prime, and the NX 450h Plus, and the RX 450h Plus. And then we have the fuel cell, which is the Mirai. Okay, so they said they sold 16,600 zero-emission vehicles. So the combine of those vehicles, they sold that many. But this is Toyota and Lexus, right? So we will have to, this is a magical number that we need to do because they did not provide model breakdowns. So we can get a sense of what this means. All right, so Q4, they said that there's a record. Toyota has actually sold 24,533 units, and that's up 96.7% from last year. And that's representing 41.6% of the company's overall sales in the quarter. Okay, so this is again electrified. So meaning they sold less electrified vehicles compared to the year. Follow me on Instagram at LSFT Videos. You can see updates on my experience with the NX 450h Plus, which may not be shown on any future videos. You can also reach out to me via direct messaging if you have any questions on your Lexus. If you like this video, you can provide me feedback in the comments below, like this video, and share it with your friends. This definitely will help me with the YouTube algorithms. Press the subscribe button and bell icon and get notified when new videos show up. And lastly, if you want to support me further, you can provide me a super thanks or visit my Amazon storefront and purchase products from there at no extra cost to you, which is greatly appreciated. And now let's continue with the video. And then when we look into here, sales momentum of the electrified vehicles expect to continue in 2024 because there's an extreme long wait list, right? And the strong demand for battery electric RZ and the BZ4X, I'm surprised that there was actually a strong demand. And then for the RAV4 Prime and Prius Prime plug-in hybrids are also strong. So there's a rapidly growing electrified vehicle sales. But then when you look at it, I don't see the NX450h Plus nor the RX. So does that mean that we're not getting strong sales? But then I have a lot of viewers who are actually waiting for their NX. One just canceled their order a few days ago. So I don't know. It seems like there is strong demand, but there's no supply, and they don't talk about it. They're talking about the RAV4 Prime and the Prius Prime, but no Lexus plug-in hybrids in here. What does that mean? I really don't know. Okay, so now let's look at the Q4. So they're saying that in Q4, they actually had a Q4 record of 58,989 units, and that's up 30%, and for a total of 227,460 vehicles for the whole year. So that includes the Toyota and Lexus divisions. So then when we look at Toyota itself, they sold 51,860, and that's up 34% in Q4. And then when we look at the Lexus division, they sold 7,129 units, and that's up 9.6% compared to Q4 2022. Okay, and December, they said that they sold 16,233 units, and that's up 21%. And then the Toyota is sold 14,153, and that's 23%, while we have the Lexus division selling 2,080 units in December, and that's up 7.2% compared to last December. And then that is actually the best December sales record as well. So Lexus ended 2023 with the best ever year in Canada. They sold 31,199 units, and that's up 24.7% from last year. They should have just sold one more and make it 31,200, but it is what it is. So now they talk about some highlights of the vehicles that they sold. So there is some model breakdown here, but not to the sense where we want it. We want to go down to like the NX 350h or the plug-in hybrid. Unfortunately, that's not available. I, in fact, have actually emailed Toyota Canada to see if I can get that information. All right, so they sold 74,688 RAV4s in 2023. And that remains the best-selling passenger vehicle in Canada. And when you look at the Corolla, 28,260, again, that's the second year for the best-selling car in Canada, which is good results for Toyota. And then when you look here, it actually provides us the RAV4 hybrid and the prime numbers here. So when you look at it, 74,688, 30,741 is actually hybrids. And then 8,208 units are the RAV4 Prime. All right, so we can actually get some information here and dissect the percentages of electrification for the RAV4 and see what does that mean. The Corolla, 28,260, and there's 9,676 that are hybrids. And you can see year-over-year increases are very good. And the RAV4 Prime year-over-year is 423%. So they actually are producing more RAV4 Primes. Now when we look at the LexusNX hybrid, they sold 5,642 units, and that's up 20% from last year. So if you're waiting for a 350h, definitely you've actually got more cars available compared to last year. But when you look at the RX hybrid, 6,142, that's up 237% compared to last year's hybrids, which is the 450h. So definitely more RXs are out the door. We look at the Corolla Cross, 13,140, that's up almost 42%. So with the BZ4X, they sold 4,179 units for the full year. Not too bad for a battery electric vehicle, which a lot of people have provided not good reviews, but it seems like they still sold 4,000-ish. The Tundra's up 15%, the Tacoma's up 29%, the Highlander hybrid is up 112%. In the US, the Highlander has actually gone down a lot. The Crown 1,104, which they actually sold partially in the year. And the Grand Highlander, they only sold for a few months, 4,383 units. So overall, not too bad in these Corollas, Highlanders, Grand Highlanders. They seem to be doing quite well. So they talk about cars that are assembled in Canada. You see the RAV4 remains the best selling passenger vehicle. And then you also see that the NX and the RX are reaching yearly sales records, which means they're reaching yearly sales records. Not sure if they actually got it or not. So when we look at it, they're saying that 67% or 2/3 of Lexus vehicles sold in Canada are actually assembled in Canada, which is the 350, the 250, and the 350H. And they're saying that Totem Motor Manufacturing Canada has actually assembled 525,787 vehicles in Canada in 2023, which is not a big plant. They didn't go over a million or whatever, but still significant enough. And a lot of these cars actually go to the United States because the Canadian market is just too small. We only take a small fraction of these cars. All right, so that's all we have right now about the press release. We're going to move over to the spreadsheet and then dissect this information and see if we get a little bit more information. Now we're on Lexus Canada's spreadsheet, and unfortunately I have not been able to get all the information that I need for the full year. I do have all the sales breakdowns since all the way till September, and I've actually contacted Lexus Canada, and they've been fortunately gave me the NX numbers, so I have the breakdown, but I don't have a breakdown for October, November, December, but I do have the end of year results. So there we have it. Let's start with the UX. So, and let me explain what these percentages are. So first thing is I have the records up to September, and this total is the total amount sold up to September. And this was what I projected in previous videos I've produced. And this is what I've done is I took the number of sales throughout the first 9 months and look at the total of sales. So the total sales since the first 9 months is 24,000. So 2,000 of the 24,000 is 8.87%. We do know the total number of sales of the year. So it's 31,199. So then I took that and took 8.87% of that, and that is the 2,766 units. So I'm estimating right now that they sold 2,766 UXs. Okay, and then when we look into the NX, where I do have the number, so the number validated with Lexus Canada is 10,800 units. And with that formula that I took, it was about 10,708 units. So when you look at it, it was only 92 units off. So I think these are actually good numbers to take on, and we can actually use them as a point of reference. All right, so then we look at here, we have the NX. Okay, so NX is about 34% of the portfolio, and projecting was 10,708, and I estimated at 11,000. So in reality, it was actually 10,800 units. So between the 3 months, they sold 2,539 units. So when you look at that, that seems to be a little bit lower than last year. Okay. But when you look at it, it's the best year of the NX, 10,000. So they broke the 10,000 record. And you look at the RX, even if you look at the RX, 2021, they sold 10,332. This number broke that record already. So I don't know if the NX will outsell the RX or the RX outsells the NX. So we will have to wait for the numbers to actually be able to determine that. But they are neck to neck at this point. So the RX here, we have estimating 11,441. And then right now we're 8,000 up to September. So I'm going to skip the rest of these here because, again, I don't have the real numbers because I believe the LS will not sell 30. The LCRC, which is low volume, may not reach those numbers. Hopefully, when I do get those numbers, I'll be producing you the video with the full year so that you get a sense of the reality of the marketplace in the Lexus models. All right, because I'm interested to see the TX because I've seen a few TXs on the road already, which means definitely would not be zero. They'll have some sales there. Okay, so when you look into here, the total for Lexus here. So since 2012, these are all the sales records that they've done. And when you look at it, it's the first year they sold over 30,000. You can see that at the peak, it was 2019 before the pandemic. It dropped, came back up, sold very close, and this year finally they pushed over the 30,000 record here. So want to see what does BMW and Mercedes does in Canada, but looking at it, it seems to be a very promising year for Lexus. All right, so then let's go down to the NX. So these are the sales numbers for the total year of the NX. So when you look at it, 10,800, definitely the best year overall. Last year was not too bad. 9,400 was good. And when you look at it, the second generation NX does push the NX to the new sales numbers. When you look at it, it was only 6,000, 7,000 units a year. Last year it was 9,400. This year it's 10,800. I don't know if some of this is also the delays of the vehicles, but when you look at it, we will have to see 2024, are they going to push that beyond the 10,800, or the numbers will start to level off? All right, so when you look at the press release, they said 17,156 are electrified vehicles. 55% of the 31,199 are electrified, which is quite high for Canada. If you look at the US, they're nowhere close to that. So before I got a response from Lexus Canada, I was actually trying to figure out how many NX450H Pluses were sold. But fortunately, they gave me the number. So when you look at the zero emission, 16,600 vehicles that they've actually sold. So the RAV4 Prime, they provided it, 8,208. And then look at the BZ4X, 4,179. And then the NX 450H Plus, they didn't sell more than 1,000. It was 943 plug-in hybrids for the NX was sold. So there is 3,270 left for the Prius Prime, the RZ450e, the Mirai, and the RX 450H Plus. So when you look at it, does that mean there's like, I would say the Mirai is in single digits, so you don't have to ignore, we can ignore that. So the three vehicles, does that mean that they sold about 1,000 each? Close. Probably Prius Prime has more, and the RZ and the RX is under 1,000. So now breaking down the NX. So we have 10,800 NXs sold. They, in the press release, provided 5,643 that were sold hybrids, 943 that I got from Lexus Canada that were NX 450H pluses. So which means the gas NXs, they sold 4,214, which means we would actually see more NX hybrids on the road than gas. So 52.25% were NX 350Hs, 8.73% are plug-in hybrids, and the gas is about 39%. So when we add the two together, the hybrids together, we're talking about 61% of the NXs are hybrid vehicles, which means they're electrified, which is higher than the 55% of the average. So when you look at this, the NX 450H Plus, 8.73% is higher than the 7% that we saw in US. And that seems to be quite promising for Canada. But then I know a few folks, you guys are waiting for your NX 450H Pluses. Unfortunately, the market is a lot smaller and the cars that are coming probably does not fit what you want. I think the wait could still be there. I'm hoping that these numbers will continue to increase. 943 seems to be a reasonable amount, but I haven't really seen that many on the road. So since we're at it, let's compare the RAV4. So RAV4, they sold 47,688. They told us they sold 30,741 hybrids, 8,208 primes, which means 35,739 gas-only RAV4s. And when you look at the percentage, about 11% are the plug-in hybrids. Hybrids got 41%, and the rest is gas. So when you put these two together, it's 52%. Roughly 52% are electrified. Comparing it to the NX, 61%. So you can see that there is a gap in the distribution here, which I think a lot of the NX 450H pluses would hope that they would get 11% of this meaning over 1,000-ish NX 450h pluses. But I guess they are still controlling the demand of the batteries and really have to wait for the battery plant to open in North America to be able to actually get more of these plug-in hybrids on the roads. So there we have it. A very successful year for Canada and Lexus. I'm hoping that 2024 we will see another successful year and the increase of the plug-in hybrids and all the hybrid cars so that the wait times are going to be reduced. I hope that you found that this video was informative, and until next video, drive safely. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please comment, like, share this video, and if you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe to my channel and press that bell icon to get notified when new videos are posted. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can provide me a super thanks. And until next time, cheers.